Hello, everybody. My name is Cody, and welcome to Automated, a podcast that I decided to start so I could talk about my honest experiences with technology, software, and all of the fun stuff that has anything to do with the new era of just products and consumerism and just all of the things that we can do with our lives. We could change our lives with smart home products and technology right now. And I would like to introduce a 5-part series that I'm going to talk about smart home devices with, and I really look forward to how we're going to do that. Basically, the 5 different episodes, we're going to talk about the types of devices, what makes the house smart, the product limitations, and why should I have a smart house, and the best products that you should start with. Of course, that's based on my opinion, and that's probably based on some of the products that I have in my house. So let's get. Actually, before we get into it, just a couple quick things. For the podcast in general, there's going to be no schedule. Everything is going to kind of be random. The topics will be planned out and announced ahead of time. We'll basically give you some heads up about when we're working on something, and then we'll post it. That's how it's going to be. And when I say we, I mean me, because it's single person operation. In fact, you can probably hear my neighbors cutting a tree down right now. Yeah, that's the quality that we're working at right now. But my goal here is to get content out to people. So you're gonna hear some you're gonna hear some crazy, like, not normal to radio things. That's okay. This is just a podcast, and I'm not a professional. This is amateur hour. Welcome to Automated. Let's get into it. The 2 most important things to start the smart home. One of them is Wi-Fi. Whether that's with a mesh system or with an access point type of system, most of the Wi-Fi systems out there are going to be built out of the same types of technology that you can use, but it just depends on how you want to install it. Are you installing a mesh system that's all wireless, or are you installing an access point based system where you're running a wire to a device that's going to transmit wireless signal? So that's something you have to determine. If you're able to run wire in your house, you probably already have Wi-Fi, but your Wi-Fi is probably not going to be up to par with what it will be once you start adding devices with your smart home, because every single smart home device, well, mostly all smart home devices run with Wi-Fi connectivity. So if you have a Wi-Fi issue, then you're probably going to want to get that figured out. In the future, we're going to talk about advanced Wi-Fi systems and how we can make them better and how we can plan them out. But for now, we're just going to stick with, you either need a mesh Wi-Fi system or an access point system. TP-Link, Linksys, Netgear, Cisco, everybody makes this type of product. I'll attach a few below this so you could find that out. The second thing that we're going to want is a secure email account. Everybody probably has an email address that they have. Everybody probably has more than one email address that they're running with. That's okay. You can actually have as many email accounts as you can create on your computer. If you can find a name, take it. So here's the thing. You want to have a secure email account that you're going to be able to recover in case anything ever happens, because the relationship between all of your smart home products, it's all communication between certain accounts. So you want to be able to recover your account if you have a problem with that. One thing to note for that, and we'll talk about digital hygiene later on in this podcast somehow. I'm sure we'll get to it because it's kind of a big deal. But this kind of goes right along with having a secure email account. Have some form of 2-factor authentication enabled, because you're going to, you have to recover this email if something happens, or you have to recover all the accounts that are related to your smart home or smart home products or anything ever it's really just a good practice to have a secure email account. And if you already do, congratulations. I'm sure that you benefit from that all the time when you need to recover accounts that aren't able to be recovered. So that's the two things that we really need to start building our smart house. If you already have a smart house going, cool. We're just going to kind of cover the basics of smart home hubs and then individual smart home devices. I'm trying to aim that this is about 20 minutes long. We'll see what we can do. So let's get into the hubs. There's pretty much 3 to 4 leaders in making hubs right now, unless there's something that I don't know about, which is possible. But we have Google, we have Amazon Alexa, and we also have Apple HomeKit, and then Samsung SmartThings, and then under that, there's even more hub options that are available, but we can get into that later. Right now, we're just going to focus on these main several. So one thing to keep in mind is that when you select your hub, you're selecting the main controlling unit or app on your phone that's going to be connecting to the rest of this stuff. So if you have like a Google ecosystem already, say you have a Google or a Samsung phone and you have a Google account, and you're really looking forward to not having to make any more new accounts, or you don't want to trust any other companies, then you should go with Google. Or if you start with Amazon and you have a Prime account and you're really integrated into the Prime system and you really want to make that experience better, then Amazon Alexa might be a better option for you. Now, if you're a HomeKit, an Apple person with an Apple ecosystem, then the Apple HomeKit might be what you want to buy for. Now, the reason that I'm mentioning these 3 different hubs and other hubs is that the products that you buy later on and the specific brands that you buy, it's going to determine what control hub that you need to have. So you may buy a product that won't work with your control hub. That's going to be a disappointing thing to a lot of people if they are going into the smart home world uneducated about this topic, because there's kind of a thing going on where the big 3, big 4 are going through and buying up specific companies that make products. Even Facebook is getting into companies that build physical products now. So all of these companies work with specific products in their own ways, and they work with some better than a competitor, and the other way around. So, for example, if you get a Google Hub and you get Nest products, which Google actually bought Nest, so now Google and Nest have a really good relationship when it comes to controlling those devices across across all Google products, basically. So with the Amazon stuff, I like to use that to connect with Prime. So that's something that you have there when you get the Alexa set up. So let's pause real quick. I'm going to try to stop saying Alexa because I understand how crazy that could be if you're listening in your house right now. So in place of Alexa, as much as I possibly can, I'll try not to say the Google trigger word. I shouldn't be able to say the Google trigger word. But with the Alexa, let's stop it right now. That was the last time. We're going to say Amazon. Yeah, let's just do that. Amazon device. We'll say Amazon device. That way I don't keep calling everybody's control system. So Alexa, Apple, Google. Dang it, I just did it. We can't do that. Amazon, Apple, Google. You have those 3. Those are the 3 main hub providers, I would say. And those are probably a lot of the products that we already have. I know that last year people were getting Amazon Echo Dots for Christmas, and everybody's getting that started. This year, Google came in with the Nest Hub right in time for Black Friday and Christmas time, so that's kind of coming around, and that's going to be in a lot of households. Apple is kind of sitting back right now, and Apple's kind of always done this when they're working with a new thing that they've not done business in before. I can guarantee you that Apple is paying a lot of attention to what everybody else is doing, though, and they're going to find the way that they can lock it down even better. So if you have an Apple ecosystem, when you move into a smart home setup, it's going to be really easy for you to adapt to all these products, because that's usually how Apple works with their ecosystem. They're really good about that. So that is the hub conversation. If there's any other hubs out there that exist that we're not talking about, then you're probably only going to be using those hubs from here into the future if you have to, if you already own them. So we're not going to talk about them because quite frankly, these three leaders, and maybe even including Samsung SmartThings as a hub, these 3 or 4 leaders are going to be the people that are driving the industry. Those are the companies that will basically control how we will be able to control our smart devices. And that's a whole nother can of worms that we can get into some other day. The Internet of Things it's really just a group of smart plugs, bulbs, doorbells, light switches, doorknobs, thermostats, security systems, camera systems, all of these different things that we can put into our house that we can basically start controlling things with. So the thing about this is each device is going to be made by a company like Ring or my mind has gone completely blank. Ring, we have Casa, I believe that is TP-Link. All of basically each company out there that has kind of been into the internet for a while, those are the companies that are kind of coming out and starting light bulb lines, and like the Philips Hue light bulb, I have a smart home. There's a brand. It's kind of like an app that's open to multiple different manufacturers. Smart Life. There's an app called Smart Life that works with hundreds of companies that make different types of devices you can control. So you're probably wondering, how can you buy one hub from Google or Amazon or Apple, and then you can buy another device from another company and it's just going to control it? Well, we'll kind of get into this on the next episode a lot more in depth and get into some of the crazy details. But to put it simply, your account with Ring or with Philips or with any other smart home device IoT manufacturer, each account from there connects over the internet outside of your home to your hubs, to Google, to Amazon, to Apple, to Samsung. You're connected to those over the internet. And that's why you need the internet connectivity, because we're doing that transaction of data outside of your house. That's why we need the internet connectivity mostly all the time. So most of the time, if we lose internet, we're going to lose control of these products, which that's another thing we'll talk about later on when we talk about the limitations of a smart home. So with all these devices that we start adding, we have to connect all of our accounts, our smart home device accounts, to Amazon, and that usually is a confirmation process that's started when you buy your device and you're following the instructions that are provided, and it'll go, now that you've connected your device to your app on your phone, you have to go over to the Alexa app or to the Google Home app or the Google Home Assistant, and then to HomeKit. And you have to connect third-party manufacturers to your control device. And that is how you form the relationship between all the extra stuff that you can buy and your control hub. That's what's going on there. So that is why it's important to have an email account that is set up secure and is able to be recovered should something happen. And it's pretty important to have a pretty hefty password there that's protecting your account. That way nobody else can log in and control your devices, because that's another thing with these devices to consider when thinking about a smart home, is that yes, this is connected to the internet. Yes, it's possible that somebody else could take control of this. But that's something that needs to not be a fear if we maintain our digital hygiene, which we'll talk about later on in detail. But it's just really important to stay secure, to keep a clean email account, and to keep passwords not typed anywhere in any online paper that's saved. If anything, I would suggest that everyone set up all of their accounts with as much security as possible. As complex as your password can be, as good as as secure as you can get, the better. Two-factor authentication and stuff like that basically receiving a text message to your phone to confirm that you're the one trying to log in. That way, if somebody is trying to log into a device that controls part of your house, you'll get a text message and you'll know, wow, somebody's trying to log into my Ring account. That means somebody's trying to log in to look at my cameras, or to look at my doorbell, or to talk to my doorbell, or to just turn my devices off. That's a thing that's possible if we aren't staying secure. Oh, whoops. Let's make that go away. The joy of a podcast, folks. We're not making any edits. This is going straight from here to the internet. That's the joy. So that is the conversation on the devices. That's how they're talking back and forth. That's how they're connected. It's important to keep our email secure and to keep our accounts secure. We don't want to give anybody any accounts. We're not sharing passwords, even person to person with people that you interact with every day. Don't share any passwords or anything like that. It's super important to keep this stuff secure and able to be recovered from, because I'm pretty serious. That's not, if you do start building a smart home and you don't want to have that fear of control, then it comes down to the maintenance of keeping your account secure and all that stuff. So that is what I want to cover at first. That's all I want to really get into, is that there's all sorts of, well, we can kind of get into some of the devices. Let's kind of talk about some of the types of devices that you're able to buy. I mentioned, kind of ran through a laundry list a second ago. Plugs, bulbs, doorbells, doorknobs, security systems, and cameras. The possibilities are going to be endless, and the devices that will be able to interface with Amazon, Google, Apple, and maybe even any other hubs that come out, it's going to be scalable to be any size. Like, we can make it any size. Home could be enabled with control, and in any type of product that we add to the system, we'll be able to control it. You know, we're not paying for the amount of devices that we can connect to. So we can put as many of these devices on as we want. Plugs, bulbs, doorknobs, security systems, all of that. And they'll always be creating new products. And when I say they, I don't mean like they in the black helicopter. I mean they as in all of the manufacturers of these products. They're looking out for, well, what kind of problems do people have? Like, what are devices that consumers are going to want to buy to solve problems? That's what this is going to turn into for the next several years as we start to automate stuff everywhere. So that's something to think about. What type of devices you want? What do you want to start with? Do you want to start with a plug? Do you just want to turn on a lamp so you can just plug your Christmas lights in? Do you just want to control a couple lights? Or do you want to get serious about it and start getting maybe a doorbell? Maybe you already have a doorbell. If you do, I'm sure that it's totally changed the way that you look at your front door, the way that you look at your house while you're gone. It's changed your life. A lot of this is going to change everybody's life. So that's just something, as we progress through time, that we're going to talk about, is trying to have a positive impact while we're changing our lives and while we're buying these products and making stuff that's different than it used to be, is making a better place for ourselves with all these devices. So let's just kind of get into some of the cool, crazy stuff. Let's go to the kitchen, and we'll talk about microwaves and ovens and recipes on only Amazon Echo. So if you do have an Amazon Echo, you've probably gotten on there and listened to a recipe or checked a recipe or maybe even followed a recipe all the way through. What it's going to do in the future, as people are able to buy more products after they've put light bulbs in their entire house and they can control all of their lights, people are going to start buying different things that are enabled to communicate with our hubs. For example, I could buy an oven and it's going to be programmed to follow along with a recipe for baking a turkey on Thanksgiving. And if I'm following the recipe and I get to the point where in about 20 minutes I'm going to need an oven ready to go, I could look at my hub and look at the first and second step of the recipe, and I'm preparing stuff. And while I'm doing that, my Echo could go internally. It could already start preheating my oven for me, and I don't even have to think about it. That's going to be possible. That's the kind of stuff that's going to be possible as we get further into building these ecosystems that we can live in, is you're going to be able to control your microwave, your oven, anything that we have to control ourselves. As time goes on, more and more companies are going to make these types of devices that we're able to add to the system and make an even bigger smart home ecosystem for ourselves. So I'm really looking forward to being able to break down certain products and talk about certain products and what they do. And we'll get into more crazy, awesome stuff that you wouldn't expect to be possible for you and I to just buy and install ourselves and do. So we'll get into some of the cool stuff in the future. We'll talk about stuff like the stuff that we're putting in the kitchen, stuff we're putting in other rooms in the house, stuff that we're even taking to work and adding to life and work that'll make life easier there. You know, how cool would that be if you could take something that you're getting paid for and make it a little bit easier? And you spent 15 minutes kind of putting something into effect that'll just make life easier long term. So, and even at the home, even the process of waking up in the morning, we could have enough devices in the bedroom that are programmed to wake us up in a calmer fashion than what we're used to. So that's the kind of that's the kind of stuff that's going to be possible as we're able to build these networks of devices. And so, yeah, that's how fun the smart house will be and smart products. There's going to be a lot of possibility. There's going to be a lot of growth in the market for smart home products. You're going to start seeing them show up everywhere. In fact, there's probably already stuff. I don't really know because I don't really go into the store anymore. I pick up groceries now, so I just don't go to the store anymore. So I'm sure that if you walked into Walmart or go to Walmart's website, there's smart home products available now. A year ago, you would only be able to buy a wireless router at Walmart, and that's like the closest we could get to a smart home. But now, just in the last year, Google, Apple, Amazon, everybody's starting to get those products out there in front of the majority of consumers and showing them the possibilities of what's going on. And it's really getting somewhere. And since that's happening, all these other companies that have these ideas of certain products they can make to solve certain problems, since all this smart home control hub marketing is going on, all of the device companies are going to start making stuff for us to buy as well. So it's all going to start growing, and it's going to happen pretty quickly, which is why I kind of want to get on here and help people understand that it's not anything to be afraid of. It's going to happen fast, and there's going to be some stuff you have to pay attention to. And the next 4 parts of this series will talk about some of the details you really need to pay attention to. But for now, I think that we've had a pretty good introduction to basically what's making the smart home market for us to talk about. So I appreciate your time. I've gone a little bit over what I kind of wanted to do, but I'm looking forward to the future of the podcast and seeing where it goes and what we can talk about and who we can talk to and stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to it improving and becoming a thing that people are really looking forward to listen to and put time into learning about differences that they can make in their life with technology. Whether it's just a piece of software or a smart home device or anything that is connected to the internet that just makes life better than it was yesterday. That's really ultimately what I want to talk about on here, and that's why we started it. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to, like I said, looking forward to everything that is to come with this. And I really appreciate your time listening to this. And yeah, thank you. Thank you. We will see you soon. Everyone, have a good day.